So, a little while ago in the hallway, someone said, "Hey, Calvisi, Paulie Pencilneck, are you ready for Sean Kugler?" And I said, "Now, wait a minute. Is Coach Kugler ready for us?" That's the question here on the Coach's Chronicle podcast. Lisa Matthews. Am I wrong?
Or kicking it with Kugler this week.
right.
Because last week, kicking it with Kliff, now it's Kugler. All about you today.
Well, Coach is a little better looking than I am, but I'm enjoying kicking it with you one way or the other. So I got a face for radio.
And if we're doing our job, we're keeping it casual here. Okay, so we're just getting to know you a little bit, and you're getting to know the AZ. And I think you have a clubhouse lead on everyone. You've actually found a place to live, if we understand correctly.
Yeah, I like to get on it quick. My wife and I, we found a place in Chandler, and the quicker we can get in, we get settled, the faster we can get to work.
Well, you must be good at that, though. I mean, we look at your resume, right? And not only do you have the years and you have the experience, but different stops at different times and different capacities, from head coach to assistant to, this whole moving thing.
29 years, right?
Do you find it daunting, or is it just like, okay, at this point, I got it down, I know what to do, ABC?
Yeah. You get used to it, and you have a plan, and it's a routine. If something like that happens, of course you want to stay at a place a long time, and hopefully I can stay here at Arizona for a long time. But coaching's a journey, and there's a lot of things, a lot of stops, a lot of things can happen throughout the process, and it's been enjoyable for me.
Just take us through that journey. 29 years in the pros, at the college level as well. Just what has that experience been like for you? How'd you get in?
It's been awesome. Actually, I started as a high school coach in Tampa, Florida. I coached there 3 years, and I went back to my alma mater and coached 10 years as an assistant coach, and was at the collegiate level, and then I got an opportunity to coach in the NFL. Andy Reid was my line coach in college, and he was in the NFL at the time, gave me an opportunity, and I started with the Detroit Lions and moved on to Buffalo and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I had a 1-year stop in between after Detroit at Boise State University. Outstanding university. We had a great year that year. We went undefeated with Chris Peterson. It was an awesome year. I actually played out here in Arizona in the Fiesta Bowl, and it was a great time. It was a great experience for me and my kids. It was an awesome game. And
was that the Statue of Liberty game?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was. It was.
That was by far, on the record, one of the best games college football I've ever watched. Just what was that like, being in that?
It was a unique atmosphere. It was really the first time Boise got on the map. Mm-hmm. And I remember during pregame, our players are out there warming up, and literally Oklahoma's players are running by and laughing at our players because, probably didn't belong in the same stage as them physically, but our kids got after them, and it just ended up being an epic game. And you could feel it while you were a part of it, and afterwards it was like, wow, we just beat Oklahoma.
Was that also the game where the running back, the star, the guy who scored, proposed to his girlfriend on the sideline afterwards?
He did, and how about this? The night before at the team meeting, he said he was going to score the game-winning touchdown and propose to his girlfriend. So he did it.
Oh,
how
my
about that?
gosh. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
With Valentine's Day coming up, that's a romantic story.
Yeah, that's where you peak. I'm not sure what you can do after that in life, where you're going to exceed that. That's quite a moment.
Sending flowers the next year just ain't cutting it.
That's right.
Was Adrian Peterson on that?
He was.
Okay,
he was. In fact, that was the first game in his college career that he was held under 100 yards. I mean, our guys were flying around to the football, but it wasn't overtime. They gave him the ball one time, and he just rumbled for 25 yards, and that's when Chris Peterson said, if we score, we're going for 2, because this guy's starting to get heated up.
But your big break was Andy Reid.
Andy Reid, and really was my biggest influence in coaching. I always wanted to be a coach ever since I was little, but after having Andy as my line coach, I wanted to be the best coach I could be, and really wanted to be him, and he inspired me and taught me a lot about, organization and those type things and detail. And, as great as a head coach as he is and great as a person as he was an unbelievable offensive line coach.
Wow.
And he would have been the best ever the NFL ever had he, stayed in that course. But, of course, he skipped past that junction and became a head coach. But just an awesome person, and I owe a lot to him.
And you played on the line,
yes,
growing up, and then also your sons play on the. Your son actually went to school at Michigan and played with Mason Cole, correct? Is that the connection?
That's right. Yeah, they played together for 4 years, and very unique story. Mason was a left tackle for 3 years, a starting left tackle, and Patrick was a center, and then Patrick played center, and they moved Mason back to tackle, and they got a great connection. And very funny story. We almost drafted Mason in Denver. We literally were going to take him in the same round. We were 2 picks behind Arizona, and we're standing in the room waiting for the pick for the card to be turned in. And And they said, you know, the Arizona Cardinals select Mason Cole. I was like, oh, well.
Well, now it's meant to be.
Yeah, it worked out. And,
Wow.
But he's a great young man and very smart, very intelligent. He's going to be a 10, 12-year player in this league, and got a lot of high hopes for him.
So did Jim Harbaugh recruit your son?
No, actually Brady Hoke, and he was there for 2 years under Brady Hoke and 3 years under Jim Harbaugh, and then Jim Harbaugh hired him right off the field as a graduate assistant right after his career, and then now he just became a full-time offensive line coach at age 23 at Howard University in Washington, D.C.
Oh.
Following your footsteps.
Yeah, my other son coaches as well. He's a coach at the University of Washington with Chris Peterson, so small world.
That's an interesting dynamic, though, when you have coaches coming in to recruit your sons.
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of like the guy coming in to take your daughter to the prom, right? You're kind of eyeing them, right? You're giving them the extra tough handshake, maybe, you know?
I'm sure just as difficult for them knowing they're coming into your living room.
Right.
You know what, really with my sons, I let them enjoy the process. You know, they made all the decisions, and really from Pee-wee all the way through, never interfered once with their coaching, and they were very fortunate to have great coaching all the way through. And I just like standing back and watching them develop as a dad. I just saw it more as a dad. And, you know, from the advice standpoint, you know, some points here and stuff like that, but I wasn't one of these overbearing fathers that overcoached them and those type things. I wanted them to enjoy playing football.
Of course, you had that at El Paso, right, when you were the head coach.
Yeah.
How much time did you devote in the college scene to non-football related matters as a head coach at UTEP? Just any head coach in the college level.
My door was always open, and it was always busy, and it probably 95% of it didn't relate to football. It was either academics or dealing with a booster or getting ready to speak at this function, and probably that's really the main thing where probably wasn't good at. You know, I wanted to be in the offensive room, game planning for the games and everything like that. So it was a learning experience for me. Being my alma mater, I really felt, you know, I could go in and make an impact and win and sustain it. We did win. We went to a bowl game, but it was a tough place, and we didn't really sustain it. And, you know, in this business, you got to win enough games to keep your job. And at the end of the deal, it didn't work out that way. But it is my alma mater. I still root for them and want them to be successful.
Having the experience at the college level, now in the pros, how can that be an aid just to Kliff and maybe the biggest transition that you've experienced?
You know, probably just, you know, experience of, hey, this is a little bit different. And, you know, you had this in spring ball in college where you could work with these guys exclusively. Now we get to OTAs, and it's a little bit different. The first 2 weeks you can only meet with them, and the second 2 weeks you can only use certain apparatus. And when you jump from college to the NFL, it's new. And, you know, just the rules. But he's got a lot of good experience to lean on throughout the staff. And, you know, actually coached against Kliff in college twice. When I was at UTEP, we played them twice. And played them in El Paso and had a very tight game. And then the next year they had a quarterback named Patrick Mahomes, and wasn't so tight of a game. They blew us out.
Wow. So what do you know about Kliff Kingsbury that maybe we're going to find out? What are your first impressions?
Very humble, very detailed, very, you know, organized. You know, I think from day one with the staff, he's letting us know what he wants, what his vision is. And what I like is, you know, he lets you coach, and he's open to ideas. And, you know, really, I don't know him personally over a long period of time, but the brief time that I've spent with him, you know, I'm very impressed.
Well, he told us that he comes in at 4:30. He wakes up. He comes in the office 4:30. So what's your wake up time? Are you going to try to beat him in the office?
I'll be honest. I'm still rolling over in bed at 4:30, so I come in a little bit later. But yeah, he does. He comes in, he grinds, and he's here late, and you know, he's putting in the effort, and you know, things that you don't know about a person. You know, being on another staff, and you know, went into it open-minded, and he did as well, and he hired me, and I'm happy to be working for him.
You know, when the Cardinals play the Rams, the defensive players always cite Sean McVay in that system. When the Cardinals play the 49ers, they talk about Kyle Shanahan, the game planning, the play calling.
Right.
Is Kliff Kingsbury going to be the Cardinals' competitive advantage?
You know, I think he's a very strong offensive mind, and he's got a vision of what he wants to do. And, you know, I think his style is just going to be, you know, all over the blueprint of what we're going to do offensively. So it's exciting. There's a lot to it. And just putting it together from day one, it's been fun as a coach because you go from system to system. Every system's new. For me personally, this is the most unique system that I've been in, but it's refreshing, you know.
Getting more into your position group, but we have a fan who has a question for you.
Okay.
He wants to know what attributes should be most important for an O-line player?
Well, I think toughness, mental toughness, physical toughness. We're looking for guys that finish blocks, that play with a little nasty demeanor. I think athleticism is a premium, but you can overcome some of those things. You can be a little bit less athletic as long as you have the mental toughness to overcome that. So we want guys that are going to compete on every play from the start of the play till the end of the play and finish. So that's the number one quality that I look for.
And to what degree does that start with their position coach? You hear about how teams take on the personality of the head coach. What about a position group?
Yeah, I don't know if they necessarily take on the personality of the coach, but the way that you coach them. If you demand in practice that they finish each drill, if you demand in the meetings that they have full attention the entire time, if you demand in the off season that they're paying attention to their body, I think that they adhere to that and they want to fulfill that. The guys that don't, they're probably not the best for that program or the best for you. So I think in the end, they all guys want to be coached, all guys want to be the best. It's just, what do you got to do to get it out of them?
There's a lot of personality. We were talking before the show. There's a lot of personality on the line. I mean, DJ Humphries, Justin Pugh. Obviously, you have your background and knowledge of Mason Cole. Just what do you envision working with them? What it'll be like?
As a coach, I like the guys I like them to have a good time in the meeting room. When we put in our work, we're going to put in our work. But I like it light in the meeting room. They poke fun at each other, have fun with each other, have certain traditions that offensive linemen have, and just allow them to be themselves. But when it comes time to work, I want those guys to work and work together as a unit. So having a bunch of different personalities in the room does not bother me. In fact, I enjoy it. But when it comes down to playing as a unit, we got to play as a unit.
Yeah, you need that cohesiveness.
Absolutely.
That's what is the identity of the line.
Yeah, and chemistry to me is, besides physical attributes for players, chemistry to me is the number one thing that room needs to improve upon.
Yeah, I mean, these are guys who are 6'7", 6'8", 330 pounds. Do they automatically buy into you, or do you have to earn their trust? Do you have to be like an alpha male in that room?
It goes both ways. You have to earn their trust, and they have to earn your trust, and that just comes through time. And, showing them the proper techniques and them seeing those techniques in use and seeing it on film and translating to the games, and then they say, well, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. On the same token, as you're watching these guys, seeing their work habits and on a daily basis, not just talking about it, coming out and doing it, they earned your trust. And, I think trust is a big deal, not only on offensive line, but every position on the football field, but in particular that group.
All right, so we got into your coaching background. How about what do you like to do for fun?
You know what? I like to spend time with my wife, Monica. We're both foodies. We love to go out to eat. We like to try different restaurants.
We do have a fan who asked the weirdest food you've ever eaten.
The weirdest food. Oof.
He's from Australia, so you gotta think.
The weirdest food.
See, Larry Fitzgerald has an advantage in this one because he's been to every corner of the earth, and so he's tried all these different foods. I don't know how much of a traveler you are, but
not a big traveler. You know what? I really can't say I've had a weird food. I've had a lot of good food, maybe some bad food, but never anything weird.
You looking forward to any food here in Arizona? You already have some places, targeted you're going to check out that you've heard about?
I always look for good Italian food. I love Italian food. I love Mexican food, and I'm sure there's plenty of good Mexican food places around here. And my wife makes outstanding Mexican food. She can make tacos better than anybody. So
Hold up. I can make some good tacos.
And her mom beats her, so I'm good there. But I just enjoy just going out and having a nice meal, and we're pretty much homebodies. We like to sit around, watch Netflix, and watch series and do that. So we're pretty simple.
I think I read somewhere where you like to walk the field in silence before a practice.
Yeah.
You still do that?
Yeah, I like to walk. Just gets my thoughts together. I always go for a walk during the day. Usually at lunchtime, and before the game, I like to walk. Just, get your thoughts on the game and think about the things. Go through the calls in your head, and it's just peaceful to me. When I was younger, I used to walk the stadium steps, but I'm past that point now, so now I just walk around the field.
Well, you'll be happy to know that the toughest person in this room is Lisa. She took a medicine ball to the face yesterday. I think she's in concussion protocol.
I can't tell this guy anything.
She's like in concussion protocol right now, Coach. So if you're looking for someone who's tough, right here.
Okay,
I can
good,
put on
perfect.
the line for you.
All right, there you go. Sean Kugler, everyone. That'll do it for this edition of the Coach's Chronicle podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll connect. You're going to see and hear from us again during this season, okay?
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Coach.
Thanks for having me.